Well, it's election season and time for more candidate conversations. I'm here now with Irene Bowling. She's running for the state Senate position here in the 35th District. Hi, Irene. How are you?
Hi, very nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming on and talking with us. First things first, for folks who may be getting a first chance to hear you and learn from you, tell us about yourself and why you want to be the next state senator in the 35th.
Well, I live in Bremerton. I'm from Kitsap County. My family moved there in the 1930s. And we're a family of shipyard workers and loggers. My uncles were loggers here in Mason County, fishermen, and teachers. So I'm a teacher. I taught Olympic College for many years. And I have a music school. I'm a small business owner. I've had that for almost 40 years now and taught thousands of students. And there are just a lot of things that I want to see changed here in the district. So that's why I'm running.
Do you focus more of your attention in the Bremerton, Kitsap area of the 35th District from being there? And then how do you then bring in the ideas from the constituents throughout the whole rest of the district?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's a very diverse district.
Yeah.
So the district, for those that don't know, the 35th LD, Legislative District, we have one senator and two representatives for the district. It goes from practically Silverdale, Newberry Hill Road, all the way to Rochester. So it's it's 87 miles from tip to bottom, and it goes across the Hood Canal, so Lake Cushman and that area too, and a little farther north. So it's a very diverse and big district, and we have Kitsap, part of Kitsap County, all of Mason County, and part of Thurston County. And the needs, some needs and issues are universal for all three counties, and some issues I think are very unique to the different counties. So as a state legislator, you've got to really be up on what the issues are for those three different areas and try to reach out to the people, not only officials of those, the county governments, but also to your citizens. So I've doorbelled over 10,000 doors. I ran against my opponent in 2014 and doorbelled even more doors at that point. And so I feel that just by meeting people from all the districts in the last 4 years, really making an effort to communicate with them and find out what they need, that I have a pretty good idea.
What has changed for you since the last time you ran for this position in kind of the way that you see the constituents and what the constituents are looking at on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a really good question because things never stay static, do they? They do change. I think the situation is worse than 2014. What I mean worse is I think more people are struggling to make ends meet. More people are having a hard time staying in their homes because of rising taxes. I think we have a lot more severe environmental issues. I mean, just look at even the forests and the heating of our environment. There are more issues about fishing and our waterways, air quality. There are more issues about jobs. And also education. Students are finding it very difficult to even get a loan. Once they do get a loan, paying off that loan, getting a job after they go to college or any kind of apprenticeship or whatever training program they're in. And I'm very concerned about that. So we have multiple issues that seem, in my opinion, to be getting worse. And that's why I'm running again. So the issues have not changed. They have just become even more clear to me in my own mind why we have to address them, and we can't wait any longer.
You'll be just one vote in the Senate. How are you going to talk to both sides of the aisle in ways that let them know that what is good for the 35th and what you're championing for the constituents here is good for the whole state of Washington?
Yep, good. Another very good question. The people that have donated to my campaign, and if people are curious about this, they can look at the PDC, it's Public Disclosure Commission, and every single person over $25 donation is listed. And all of I have literally hundreds and hundreds of donations for my campaign. And my opponent, almost exclusively, his donations are from large corporations. So I think a lot of, follow the money kind of an idea is like if a person is getting the backing of the citizens, and this is not just Kitsap County, but this is Mason County and this is Thurston County, and and that they're communicating with their constituency, and that people are actually willing to give money to them, whether it's $25. I have one lady, she's on a very fixed income. She gives me like $10 a month, out of her little retirement check, and because she really believes that I can make a difference and she needs help. And speaking of that, senior citizens are in a bad way here, I think, with the rising taxes. But anyway, getting back to your original question, I think that number one, you have to have a passion and compassion for the people in your area. In other words, that's what this job's about. It's not to protect and to save and to create more profit for large corporations. I mean, I'm not saying that businesses of that level and, like Microsoft or Amazon aren't important, and they do employ a lot of people, and we use their services. However, the 35th LD is mainly a rural district, and there are a lot of people in need here. I don't really care, to tell you the truth, about how well Amazon's doing. I care about how well my neighbors are doing here in this district. And so I will vote, once in the legislature, I will vote for the working people. That's the bottom line for me.
Have you ever risked your position or your job to do what you think is right?
Risked it?
Risked it. Have you ever risked your losing a job or losing a position on a board or a status within the community because you felt so strongly about something?
I think so, because I've been a PCO, a precinct committee officer. I have been a state committee woman and also the chair of the 35th LD. So in each one of those positions, whenever you take a strong position and believe in something and state that publicly, you're a target. The people are going to have opposite ideas. So as far as my private business, some people that I teach are very, very opposite in their views to mine. And I've lost students over that, or I've lost people in my own business from that. In fact, just running an office right now, I had several people that quit because they're concerned, not so much, I think, by my viewpoints, but the fact that they think I'm going to get this position, and they're concerned about, well, how is she going to have time to teach my kid and also be a state senator? So, yes, I mean, I take a lot of risk. I take a big financial hit by not teaching as much as I usually do, spending all this time doing doorbelling, reaching out to the community, etc. So being in the political world is very divisive. You make enemies, you make friends, but the bottom line is you have to do it because you believe in what you stand for.
Sure. How do you balance cooperation with folks of different sides of the aisles and different ideas with your own independent thoughts and the ideals that brought you to the position?
Well, I think one thing that's been really interesting for me as a teacher, I teach people that are Republicans, libertarians, all different religions. I have Muslim students, I have Catholic students, I have Mormon students, I have Protestant students, all different religions, all different faiths, all different economic level also. So I've learned, being a teacher almost for 40 years, I'm 61 years old, has taught me a lot about how to communicate through the subject that I teach, which is music, to everybody. We're all in this together. We all live on the face of this earth together. And I find it very disappointing, the divisiveness in our political climate now. I mean, I don't even like listening to the news. It gets me so upset. And the mudslinging and the bad words, the lack of respect, that's not the way I was raised. And I'm quite shocked, actually, how it's just gone into this cesspool of behavior, like a bunch of little spoiled kids. And I will not do that.
Tell me a time when you were able to successfully persuade another person to change their way of thinking.
I do that almost on a daily basis, especially with young people. My specialty are teaching people high school age, junior high and high school. And a lot of children and young people, first of all, they're more malleable because they don't have fully formed ideas necessarily. But we all echo what our families say or what we hear, whether it's false news or true news or whatever, And so as a teacher, you try to guide in a kind of like Socrates, instead of telling people things, you ask them questions like, what do you think about this? Or how could we better find a solution for this question or this problem? And I have actually probably learned more from my students than they've learned from me. That's what I love about teaching. It's been a wonderful relationship with trying to get down to the truth.
In the Senate, what committees would you like to be a part of?
Well, education, obviously. I feel very strongly that we need to expand all kinds of educational opportunities throughout the state, especially here in Mason County. I would love to see Olympic College triple, quadruple in size so that people don't have to commute all the way up to Bremerton to Olympic College up there. Mm-hmm. So that is one of my very strong goals. And of course, giving all of our students an equal foot up, an equal chance. Why should a kid going to North Kitsap, have a different kind of outcome in their education than someone that's going to North Mason? There should be an equality of what is offered, an equality of the level of teaching, equality in supplies and books. Over in Issaquah, I have some friends that their kids, they have their own computers. They give them like little miniature computers. And here at Shelton High School, some of the kids don't even have books. They have to borrow the books from each other for the AP classes. Mm-hmm. This is no good. Mm-hmm. You have to give people the tools to learn. And everyone should have the same opportunities. That is what public education is all about, and that's what our tax money's going to. Mm-hmm. So it's not right. So that's I feel very strongly about that. And the other thing that I feel strongly about is money. How can we pay for social programs, for elder care, for mental health programs that we desperately need through the state, for capital projects, for transportation projects like expanding our highways, for developing higher education, for instance, like, building a bigger campus for our college. How can we do that if we don't understand how our money works? Everyone talks about, we don't have enough money here, we have too much here, whatever, it's just a big mess as far as I'm concerned. And it's because the people that are in a political position never want to tell the truth about it. That's what I think. I think there's a lot of deception because they don't want to be saying like, hey, we don't have enough money for this. Mm-hmm. Or, there's too much money in this pot and we really need it more here. It might be an unpopular opinion and they're afraid of losing votes over it. So I understand that can be tricky, but the bottom line is that we need to look at an equitable tax situation. And I think, again, going back to these big corporations, why are they getting these huge cuts and huge tax incentives? And they're not even keeping a lot of these jobs in Washington State. Like Boeing, for instance, mm-hmm. did that a few years ago. Mm-hmm. That's atrocious. That's what the state depends on to pay for all these programs that we're talking about. And yet they're shipping their jobs out of state, and we've just put billions more dollars into their back pocket. So I think it's time to hold their feet to the fire.
In the last minute or two, go ahead, look at the camera, talk to the voters.
Yeah.
This one right here.
Which one? Okay.
Yeah, this one here. And just explain to them again why they should send you to the state Senate this year.
I think that you should vote for me because I will defend what you need and your rights here. We need economic development. We need jobs, especially here in Mason County. We need to expand our opportunities for education. We need to have safer roads so we're not having head-on collisions out on Highway 3. There are so many things that we need here in our area that we don't get and we don't have. And my opponent has been in office for 27 years. He's had 27 years to develop these programs and do something really substantial for our district. And in my opinion, he has not done so. So I think it's time for a change. It's time for people to give me a chance to do this. I have the passion and the heart for it, the education and the intelligence. But the bottom line is I will always be honest with you and tell you the truth.
She is running for the state Senate position here in the 35th. Irene Bowling. Thanks, Irene.
Thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.